Ohio, the northeastern portion of the state for the monster truck Thunder Drags. And Eric Meager was just victorious. Let's go down trackside and visit with the driver of Stinger.
If there was ever a run where the chassis looked perfect, that was it. The first jump, it didn't look like it came off the ground at all.
That's right, Army. We've been doing a lot of work here. We're trying to get the truck dialed in. We came out qualifying. I believe we qualified second. That pass felt really smooth. These guys are making the adjustments as we go. So far, everything seems to be working real well.
Round 2 continues. Our final matchup with Fred Schaefer in Barefoot, the Dodge, against Pam Voders, the Ford Boogie Van. And there's a look at Fred Schaefer out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois, over in the St. Louis area.
He'll be going up against a Maryland-based team, the wife of the husband and wife team. Pam Voders has proven that she can drive the truck. She has worked awfully hard, earned a lot of respect of the guy drivers, if you will. She's just a racer. She's not a girl out there. The name of the vehicle she drives is called the Boogie Van. Schaefer knows he's going to have to cut a light on this girl. She will be dead on that tree. Oh, yeah. We got a race.
Well, Fred took her, though, in no man's land. He got the horsepower down to the ground, a 523.
Rolled over that first jump, and the rear wheel just literally powered his way through. Watch it how the front end stays. It's a four-wheel drive vehicle. You only get half the power to the ground starting right now. Look at this.
Big wheel stand, but he had enough power from the rear wheels as the front end settles down to take the victory. So he will advance to round 2. Fred Schaefer in Barefoot out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Here's Fred with Army.
Fred, did you ever think there'd be such a thing as enduro monster truck racing?
Army, I'm about game for anything right now.
Does that break your train of thought when something like this happens? Does it get you out of rhythm?
Yeah, it does. And you see the truck wheelie that time, and it hadn't wheelied so far this evening, so now I'm worried about a wheelie now in the next round.
Look at the semifinal tree. You see the pairings there. It is Ford against Dodge and Chevrolet against Ford as we're down to the final 4 here in Canfield. The first pairing will have Eric Meager against Paul Schaefer.
Now, some people tell you that's a Stinger, but our crew chief tells us that's the flying croissant body style if you look at the back of this thing. And you can't argue logic with you there. Meanwhile, on the back of this one, you got a big old tall wing, and Paul Schaefer says really the wing is functional. It helps to stabilize the truck as they jump in the air. You got to remember, they're jumping 20 and 30 feet in the air on each of these runs. Ford to the left, Chevrolet to the right.
And the winner will go to the finals here in Canfield under the lights. One of the larger fairgrounds in the country, boasting one of the largest county fairs in the country.
Have a lot of good street rod shows up in this part of the country. A lot of hot rodders up here. This is Ohio. What do you expect?
There's your Chevrolet, and there is your Ford.
What we're doing, we're working late into the night. These guys run alcohol for fuel, so nobody's in a hurry to get to the line because the longer you run the motor, you're going to get a little bit more heat in it. More heat makes more horsepower. Then you race. Just like that.
All Stinger, all Eric Meager. So one Ford now in the final. And if history can be read, it would indicate that the other Ford should also be in the final.
You're exactly right, Gary. And remember, the win here came out of the lane that all the drivers have said was the bad lane. That's the one that's got the drop off to the right.
Coming right at you, and you can see it was the whole shot for Eric Meager. Look at the difference in altitude there with the Ford in the left lane, the far side. And let's go down and visit with Eric now. Here's Army.
I got one thing to say to you. That was a perfect tree.
Oh, exactly. I knew as soon as I took off, I knew it was going to be close. I really wasn't looking for the red light. I wanted to really stay with it all the way down through there, get a quick ET for that final round. I actually had to lift a little bit, so I know the time doesn't reflect it, but man, was it a good light or what?
I think he's a happy camper with that run. As we take a look at his teammate, there's Dan Runte in the undefeatable Bigfoot Ford.
And look what lane Runte's in. He picks the right lane, too. He'll be going up against Schaefer in the left lane. The left lane, there's poles over there. The right lane, there's drop-offs over here. This is not going to be an easy win.
Look who's watching. The entire Bigfoot crew standing outside their hauler.
Schaefer was worried about wheeling. The air is cooler. If anything, he'll make more horsepower. That could be a definite problem for him if they did not tighten that truck up. Whoa.
Big wheelie, and that is going to be his downfall as the big blue Ford will go up against that driver right there for the championship here in Canfield. A 495 for Dan Runte. And a big wheelie. Here it is again, the far lane. Watch the big red barefoot Dodge. And that is the wheelie that Fred was concerned with.
Yeah, it did exactly what he did not want it to do. Not only wheelied, it bounced off of the rear wheels when it got up. That's how high it went, Gary.
So it's going to be an all-Ford final from the Bigfoot stable. Dan Runte, now watch how smooth the old pro is.
Now the question I have is who's going to get the run in this lane in the final, because both winners for the final came out of the lane. And remember, the guys were saying this is the bad lane. I don't believe it, Gary.
Well, I think that Runte had the fastest time, so he should get lane choice. Should make for an interesting final here in Canfield. Let's go down and talk to Dan Runte.
Starting line either pays dividend or bankruptcy in this sport, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You know, you got to go out there and cut a good light. These guys are all running tough. If you don't go out there and do it, it's going to bite you, you know. I don't know. Fred went out there. I don't really know what happened. It's another thing. You don't have a whole lot of time to pay attention. We're keeping it together. We put the two Fords in the finals, and we're going to see what comes out of this one.
Well, a crowd pleaser here will be the tough truck competition. We'll have some highlights when we come back to Canfield, Ohio.